Tony, it's Tony season. I hope you're excited because this is the musical event of the year. That's right, the 69th annual Tony Awards are coming up this Sunday at 8/7 Central. Don't worry, I've got you covered. There are 9 musicals nominated this year, and we'll be going over all of them in this, the Musical Theater MASH Survival Guide for the 69th annual Tony Awards. Stay tuned. You're watching Musical Theater MASH. We're going to jump right into it with the nominees for Best Original Musical this year. Starting us off is An American in Paris. It's billed as An American in Paris, a new musical, and this new musical may feel all too familiar to anybody who's a fan of this channel. It's based on the 1951 Gene Kelly film of the same name, which was itself inspired by Gershwin's original orchestral piece. This musical is packed full with songs you didn't know you knew, like I Got Rhythm, Swonderful, They Can't Take That Away From Me, and of course Gershwin's original symphonic poem that the whole thing is based on. Like the movie, the musical follows recent World War II veteran Jerry Mulligan and his struggles to become an established painter in Parisian society. There's a love story too, probably. Expect lots of nostalgia, a few love songs, and a healthy dose of ballet with this one. It's nominated for 12 awards, and it's probably going to be a hot contender this season. A cast recording has been announced to be released on June 2nd. Next up on our list is The Visit. Now, it has been a long journey to Broadway for Kander and Ebb's The Visit. It was originally written for my one true love, Angela Lansbury, and it was slated for a 2001 Broadway premiere, but Lansbury had to drop out before Boston tryouts even began. So, a new production was staged in Chicago in October of 2001 with Chita Rivera. Although it was actually a general success, the September 11th attacks kind of put a damper on the New York theater scene, and, well, such a morbid story was really just a hard sell at that time. So, The Visit bounced around between a few regional and concert performances before finally making it to Broadway this past April. It tells the story of the richest woman in the world and her insidious visit to her small Swiss hometown. It's Kander and Ebb and Terrence McNally writing the book, so you can expect a lot of morbid comedy and just a very raw humanism about the whole thing. And some catchy tunes, of course. Plus, let's not forget the incomparable Chita Rivera. With a Broadway career that started 60 plus years ago, she still remains a force to be reckoned with this show. And eunuchs. There are also eunuchs in this show. The Visit is nominated for 5 awards, including Best Musical, and a recording is due to be released on June 26th. Moving right along brings us to Fun Home. Now, I've actually gotten out ahead of this one. If you've been keeping up on your shows of the week, you've already heard me talk about the off-Broadway recording of Fun Home, and let me tell you, this show only gets better with each listen. Based on the graphic memoir of the same name, Fun Home tells the non-linear story of a lesbian cartoonist, Alison Bechdel, and her kind of coming of age and coming out, and it contrasts that with her father's coming to terms with his own sexuality and his resulting suicide. Now, that all makes it sound remarkably dreary and sad, but Fun Home is quite the opposite. It is exuberant, it is celebratory, and it's just human. Don't tell anybody, but it's also creeping up on becoming my most favorite musical of the season. Now, I'm trying not to talk about the actual Tony Awards proceedings during this video too much, but Fun Home deserves a special asterisk here. 2 of the 12 Tonys that this musical is nominated for are Best Book and Best Score. Janine Tesori and Lisa Crone have done a marvelous job with this musical, and their nominations are more than well deserved. But, well, if you've ever seen the Tonys before, you'll know that not all of the awards are televised, and among the non-televised awards are those for Best Book and Best Score. Those are the awards that these 2 women are nominated for. Now, in the overwhelmingly male-centric world of musical theater authorship, the celebration of these women's work may just be reduced to a "while you were gone" commercial bumper. There are online petitions and articles all about this, and they're written by people who are much more eloquent than I will ever be, but The least I can do is make sure these two women, Janine Tesori and Lisa Crone, also get their shout out right here for the wonderful work they've done on Fun Home. Fun Home is up for 12 awards, and a cast recording is available all over the place right now, and you should absolutely go listen to it right now. Go listen to it right now. I'll be here when you get back. Go listen. Good, you're back. Last on our roster of new musicals this season is Something Rotten, a wacky Shakespearean musical. Yes, you heard me there, a Shakespearean musical, a very loosely historical Shakespearean musical. In it, two Renaissance playwrights, Nick and Nigel Bottom, find themselves constantly being one-upped by the bard himself. Shakespeare is a kind of rock star-esque sex bomb. In an act of desperation, Nick Bottom goes to see a soothsayer to find out what the next big hit in Elizabethan theater will be. The soothsayer tells him to go write a musical, and, well, that's exactly what he does. Something Rotten itself was rushed past out-of-town tryouts and had some teething problems with critics, but its 10 Tony nominations don't seem to reflect any of that. It's got a blockbuster cast, including Brian Darcy James, Christian Borle, however you say his name, John Cariani, and Heidi Blickenstaff from the title of the show. The cast recording is set to drop on June 2nd, so get excited about that. That's it for original stuff this year. Now on to the revivals. On the Town is a 70-year-old Bernstein plus Comden and Green musical that first premiered in 1944, and this is the third time it's been revived on Broadway. The previous two revivals were less than successful, but the current production has fared much better. It's already performing for triple the length of its two revival predecessors. On the Town recounts the adventures of three sailors on 24-hour shore leave in New York. Like most of the musicals of the era, mix-ups and mayhem ensue. But unlike most musicals of the era, there's no wedding at the end. The three sailors just get back on the boat. I mean, who knows, maybe they get married to each other later, but it was the gay 40s after all. Anyway, this is a heavy dance show, being originally adapted from a ballet, and, well, it's a classic, so don't expect a lot of understandable pop culture references. On the Town is up for 4 awards, and the soundtrack is available. Go listen to it. Next is The King and I. While not the oldest production currently playing, it may have the most dated script. The King and I is the 1951 musical by Rodgers and Hammerstein about the culture clash between a widowed British schoolteacher and the King of Siam. It's a story of love, it's a story of overcoming differences, and it's a story of mild racial insensitivity. Although written in a time when American authors tended to exoticize Asian culture, The King and I still finds a way to thrive in today's more informed cultural landscape. Plus, the catchy songs keep people coming back for more. I Whistle a Happy Tune, Getting to Know You, and Shall We Dance are the hummable ditties you may know from this stalwart of American theater. This is The King and I's 4th revival on Broadway. It's up for 9 awards, and the soundtrack comes out on June 9th. Last, but certainly not least on this list of revivals, is On the 20th Century. I have to admit, before this revival, I knew very little about this show, and frankly, that was a damn shame. It is a hilarious screwball farce meets operetta musical set on the luxury train, The 20th Century. The show tells the story of a down-and-out theatrical producer, Oscar Jaffe, and his last-ditch attempts to convince his former fling and now famous movie star Lily Garland to star in his next play. Naturally, chaos ensues. Kristen Chenoweth headlines in this musical with a fantastic cast. You can expect tap dancing, physical comedy, and plenty of belting. On the 20th Century is up for 5 Tony Awards, and the soundtrack is already available. So, we've covered the nominees for Best Original Musical and nominees for Best Revival of a Musical. With that, there are just a couple shows left that I want to touch on. You may remember The Last Ship from last year's Tonys. Sting himself performed a song from the musical that he authored. The show is about the impending closure of a shipyard in northeast England, and it just never seemed to take off with audiences. Still, the show is up for 2 Tony Awards for Best Score and Best Orchestrations, and you can listen to the soundtrack right now. I haven't looked into this extensively, but I think Gigi was one of the first Broadway shows based upon a film, as opposed to the other way around. This revival of the 1973 Lerner and Loewe production seems as fluffy and opulent as the original, perhaps a little too much for today's ticket buyers. High School Musical's Vanessa Hudgens is in it, if that's something you're interested in. Gigi is up for 1 Tony Award, and there is a soundtrack, unfortunately. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime might be the first non-musical play I talk about on this channel. Based on the book of the same name, this play has already swept the Oliver Awards with its West End production. It is nominated for Best Choreography, up against 4 other traditional musicals. By my count, a play hasn't been nominated for Best Choreography since 1992, so that's kind of cool. And really, Curious Incident looks like a fabulous play, as do all the other plays nominated this year. 2 musicals with 0 nominations will also be performing during this telecast. Finding Neverland, based on the movie of the same name, stars Glee's Matthew Morrison, Frasier's Kelsey Grammer, and Mary Poppins' Laura Michelle Kelly. The cast recording comes out on June 23rd, and it looks like it's got a few good tunes, and that might be about it. It Should Have Been You is a so-so show with a fantastic cast. It's a trope-ish wedding farce in musical form. It gets laughs thanks to its cast and not its script so much. It is the directorial premiere of David Hyde Pierce, and this show also gets a performance at the telecast. Enjoy it while you can. No recording of this show has been announced. And that's about it. That's your cheat sheet for the 69th Annual Tony Awards. Tune in every day this week for a video talking about one of the cast albums that's already been released for one of the nominated musicals. And if you follow me on Twitter, I will be live tweeting the telecast on Sunday. It's, you know, the live tweets are mostly for my own entertainment. They're stupid, they're silly, but who knows, you might enjoy them. I think if you follow me on Facebook, they'll also go to you there. I don't know, technology, it's weird. So, tune in this Sunday. Alan Cumming and Kristen Chenoweth are hosting. It's due to be a fantastic time. That's all I've got, and I'll see you at the Tony Awards.